Good morning. You're tuned to WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV, channel 25, worldwide. We're at country.am. You can also turn on your Alexa or Google Home and tell it to play WKRK in Murphy. You can hear us on those devices, plus those smartphone apps, Simple Radio, TuneIn, and Radio.net. And there's more that I don't know about, but they're there. Anyway, it is time for our weekly update with Sheriff Derek Palmer. Good morning to Sheriff Palmer. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
I like the color of that shirt.
You like that?
That's a nice color.
Yeah, everybody bragged on it at work this morning.
That's
They said that was my new color.
Well, we put Tyler on your side
I
of
saw
the
that.
control board this morning.
It's weird to be on this side of the camera for once.
I know, right?
I think everybody wants to see Tyler, though.
I feel more at home on the back side of the camera. So for our viewers at home, our apologies that Tyler's there now, but maybe y'all can get used to it.
Right. He'll be all right.
Keep it up.
Keep it up. We don't pick on each other at all. All right.
I think Tyler's doing a good job, though.
He is doing a fantastic job, yeah.
He really is.
I have to give him some credit there. He's doing a real good job, both on the air and all the office stuff. We were talking yesterday. I asked him, I said, is radio anything that you thought it would be like? Yeah. And what was your answer?
I said on Fridays, the actual DJing, yes. Otherwise, absolutely not. It's way out in left field, but I'm enjoying it anyway just because it's the industry, and I love the industry and everything it has in it.
There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes.
Right. I didn't gather that. You don't expect to have that much paperwork for a radio station, but there is.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days when you get ready to retire, you've got somebody able to step in now, right?
Yeah, we're already talking about retirement. Yeah.
No, we're not.
All right.
I talk about retirement every day.
I can understand that. Yeah. So, we're in good company, right?
Right. I was talking with some guys the other day from another agency, and we were talking about retirement and getting on up there in years and stuff, and we're making the comment about that, it's quite often now I find myself, and he said the same thing, getting on our retirement system on the internet, and on there you can go down to the dates you want to retire and how much money you would draw, and if you stayed another year, this is what you can make, and
right.
And those kind of things, and if you're at this age or that age, and so it's at this age of my time in my life, it's a calculation of whether it's a good thing to stay or a good thing to go, or what's more beneficial at this point. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to retiring one of these days.
We're getting that age, aren't we?
We are. We actually are.
Before I forget, the shirt that I'm wearing right now, I won at the Andrews Chamber of Commerce because Tyler drew my name out to save his job.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, and I promised the ladies there that I would be on Facebook Live with it. So I'm going to walk around to the camera side just to let the ladies
come right here between us.
So know that I'm wearing this shirt.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny actually because they were like, "Can anyone help us do the raffle?" And Cal Stiles grabbed me and he said, "This young man right here." And I'm like, "Oh, Cal, what have you done?"
There you go.
And Tim yelled out from the crowd. He said, "If you don't pick mine, you're fired."
There you go.
All right. The shirt is now on camera.
Andrews Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yeah, so
Chamber.
my luck saved my job there.
Yeah,
there you go.
His job really did depend on it that night, and he selected the right one, and it was all fair and square.
Right.
I think. I did my business card in honey.
Right.
It stuck to his fingers.
Sometimes luck counts for something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get started with our conversation concerning the sheriff's office. One of the big topics right now is animal control.
All right.
So
that's been a big topic for years.
It has been a big topic for years, and I know the commissioners have varied opinions on that.
Right.
And so, what's going on right now in that topic?
Well, we've been having several informal meetings about animal control recently with a couple members of our commission board and with some members from the public and different partners that play into this, just roundtabling ideas and trying to figure out, where we need to go from here and those kind of things. And we were actually privileged this past week to meet with some folks from adjoining counties who have animal control and how they run it in their counties and the different things that they do. And so we were able to get some very good ideas, some very good things from these other counties about what works and what doesn't work, and some changes they've had to make and some different things there. So I just want to let the public know that we're really in a good place right now of getting to I don't know that necessarily we will call it animal control, and that has a different connotation, I think, of what we're going to start with. But maybe an animal services division. that would incorporate not just welfare of animals, but also, the criminal side, the legalistic side, and those type of things. So we're just roundtabling things and trying to figure out how to make all that mesh with the Valley River Humane Society, with the county and the expenditures that come from the county through the sheriff's office, the health department, different people that's players has vested interest in animal services for Cherokee County.
Just by talking to folks out there, are you finding that more people are in favor of some kind of animal control officer or against?
I think more people are in favor. I think the thing that most people are against, and that I don't think we're in a place that we really need to explore this part of it yet, but I think most people are against like a leash law,
Right.
or those type of things. I think that that's something that our county is not ready for at this point, and I think that most people don't agree with that at this point. But that doesn't mean we can't go ahead and proceed forward with other avenues with the animal services part of it, for the making sure that we take care of abused and neglected animals, to make sure that we take care of the criminal side of people who may be committing criminal activity as far as animal abuse and things of that nature. So a lot of the things, what we found from talking to these partners from other counties, that we have found a lot of the things that they are doing, we are already doing in Cherokee County. It's just that we're broke up in different divisions and different pieces doing it. And the health department's doing their thing, the Humane Society's doing their thing, the sheriff's office and police departments are doing their thing. But what we're trying to develop is more organization, trying to develop a central place, a central person, a central detective, as you will, or investigator through the
Right.
sheriff's office, or that it could be a central contact for people that have animal issues and animal needs, that they have one place they can go to get the help they need, and that person can help facilitate wherever direction that needs to go in, whether it needs to go to the health department, or whether it needs to go to the sheriff's office or police department, or where it needs to go, but have that services division, they can kind of direct people in getting the help they need with animal problems.
What neighboring counties to us already have this established?
Clay County is one that has animal control, and they run theirs through the health department. We talked with them. They were part of the meeting that we've had, and we talked with them about the different issues they have as far as different regulations and rules that runs through the health department versus through the sheriff's office, for example, because there's different regulations that apply depending on where you house it and where you run through these things at. There's mandatory trainings that have to be done regardless of where it is, but if you attach it to say like with the health department, then there's additional rules and regulations that have to go with that. So Clay County is one that's in the picture. Macon County is a neighboring county that is involved in animal control, and they're very heavily involved in animal control. I think they reported to us that Macon County right now has about 6 officers that do full-time animal control.
Wow.
They average anywhere from 500 to 800 calls a month on animal control. That's a huge amount of calls just for animals, but they do between 500 and 800 calls a month on animals. And they probably, I'm not sure, remember what the budget was, but it's something around $1 million or more on the budget just for animal control in Macon County. So that's the things we're trying to work out, is trying to figure out what our needs are here at Cherokee County, where to start. And I promise you, we're not going to start out nowhere near $1 million budget and 6 officers. That's just not going to happen. But we will start out with an officer, and with someone to head this up and to organize it and get it going, and have a low budget for that. Just guessing, don't know. That's not even really been discussed what that budget would be, but I would assume it would be very low. That's what that budget would be to get started. You may have an initial startup cost, catch poles and equipment and training and all those kind of things, but we're to a starting point. We're just wanting to get this thing off the ground and get it rolling, to get it organized, and then we'll see what the needs are at that point and try to go from there.
I believe Union County, Georgia also has.
Union County has animal control.
And they even have a separate Facebook page, separate from their sheriff's
Right.
office page, that just deals with the animal control.
Well, like Macon County, for example, using them to the place that they are now, Macon County has done things, from my understanding, has switched it a few different times in their animal control. They have done it for a period of time under the sheriff's office, where the sheriff's office ran the animal control program, and it was certified deputies that were out doing the animal calls and the different things, along with a volunteer program with that. They have done it through the health department in Macon County. They have done it as a standalone division of the county, where it's its own department that hired people for that. So they've done it a few different ways. And so they're able to contribute a lot to the table to say, if you do it this way, there's some issues and problems and things. If you do it this way, here's some stuff. If you do it that way, here's some things to think about. And,
Well, when you said running it under the health department,
Right.
what would be the advantages of that? I'm trying to wrap my hand. I know.
Well, there's some things that the health department is by law have to do. They do, like with animal bites.
Right.
They check into all that to make sure the public health aspect of it is taken care of on that. When we declare dangerous dogs, for example, the health department is involved in that as far as the public health aspect of that, of there being a dangerous dog in the neighborhood. The health department also handles the rabies things, as far as a public health kind of issue. So there's different philosophies about it. There's one philosophy is, since they're already doing those kind of things anyway, for them to head it up and then refer law enforcement things to sheriff's office or the police department. And then there's a different philosophy about it is, well, run everything through the sheriff's office first, since it comes through dispatch generally, anyway. And so they can divvy out to the health department or wherever. So it's really 6 one way, half a dozen another. It really doesn't make a difference which way you do it. It's just that through the state and through the state guidelines, there's different rules and attachments come to that depending on what agency you run it through.
As sheriff, which way do you think is the more appropriate way? Or I'm asking a question that we don't really need an answer.
Well, it's really something we've not answered yet at that point. I could make an argument either way, and really there's, like I say, it's 6 one way, half a dozen another. My only concern with the sheriff's office and the things that we have been discussing about that is I would like to see, if it's run through the sheriff's office, and we may not can do this right off the bat, but I would like to see if it's under the umbrella of the sheriff's office, I would like to see a position created for a non-certified person, as far as law enforcement certified, to head that up and to run that. And the reason being is there's a lot of people out here put a lot of time and effort and energy personally and office-wide in getting people certified, sending them to schools, training in law enforcement, and doing law enforcement duties. And quite honestly, I have a little bit of concern about taking a certified person who could be out here working on breaking and enterings, who could be working on drugs, who could be working on assaults and child sexual abuse and all the different things we have to deal with. Or we could have a person working on that, but instead we're utilizing that person because a dog walked through somebody else's yard, or the dog dug up my flowers, kind of thing. And so that's why I say if it's run through the sheriff's office, my personal feelings on it is I would rather see a non-certified person positioned for that.
Right.
And then they could do the initial assessments and send that out to law enforcement or the appropriate person that it needs to go to. But with that being said, there's a very real possibility that we may run that through our investigative division to start with, until we can see what amount of calls we're going to have and what's going to come through and how much time we're spending on it and all those kind of things before those kind of decisions are ever made, So that's what we're hashing all through right now, and just trying to figure out where to start and how to get it off the ground. But I will tell you that our commission board, it seems as a whole, and not just one or two, but as a whole, it seems to be that they're all interested in it now, and they're all want to do something. And they all want to at least get it off the ground and get it going and evaluate and see where we're at. So I'm real happy about that. I'm real happy that they're doing that.
What kind of call volume right now is dedicated to, how many calls come into the sheriff's office with animal complaints on average?
I was hoping to get that pulled this morning. I had some other things I had to do, and I didn't get a chance to pull that up. But I will tell you that it's not an overwhelming amount right now. It's something that we do face several times a week, with people calling in sometimes several times a day.
But it could be a reason because people know that you don't offer that service, so they're not calling in.
And that's one of the things that Macon County advised when they did their animal services. Like I said, they're doing 500 to 800 calls a month. But what they reported back to us was that they didn't have that call volume prior to animal control.
Right.
And then once they developed animal control and once they had it off the ground and had it running, then they saw the influx of the calls and people coming in, because prior to that, just like in Cherokee County, using us, for example, what's happening right now, some calls are coming to the dispatch center, some are coming to Murphy Police Department, some are coming to Andrews, some are coming to the Humane Society, some's coming to the county manager's office, some's coming to the commissioners,
And they're not all getting logged that
Right,
way.
and they're not all getting logged that way because different people are calling different agencies and trying to find help. And so it's kind of, even though we can pull numbers of what we're seeing through dispatch, I don't think it's quite an honest number, You've really got to get to that central place and doing some education to the public about what we're about, what we're looking to do, what we're looking to accomplish, and then getting that central place. And then when all the calls are coming to the central place, then you can have a better idea of what's really out there.
Would it make sense for animal control just to have one dedicated phone number or run everything through the sheriff's office number?
Well, it's like I say, those are all things to be decided. Right now, what probably where we will start with, and I'm just guessing, I'm speaking for everybody else, honestly, but on decisions that we've not made yet. But quite honestly, it'll probably start through dispatch, start through our dispatch number, and until that becomes an issue or that becomes a burden, then there might be a dedicated number set after that.
So I'm thinking if it does come through dispatch, depending on the traffic, because I see, if you're watching WKRK's page, we have probably 5 missing pets a day on our page. So if people are going to be starting calling dispatch, if it does get overwhelming, that could mean another position being allocated for dispatch, which would not be a bad thing, really.
Right. And one of the things, the commissioners, when talking with them about this, and I think they're right for doing this, I think it's very smart to do. They don't want to create positions and make positions for things until we actually know what we have, right? And so I think one of the suggestions of the commission board at this point, and I think it's a good idea, is let's get the central place. Let's make a decision whether we're going to run it through the sheriff's office or health department or where we're going to run it through. Let's make that decision. Let's get it going. Let's assess, see what we have, see what the call volume is, see what the needs are, see what people are concerned about and calling about, see all those issues. And then once we get a grip on what's out there, we'll make an assessment on what's out there, then we can branch that off and make other decisions that we need to make, whether that's hiring a full-time person, whether that's making a standalone division, whatever the need may be at that point.
I see someone on Facebook mentioned something about hopefully if a position is made, it's not just during banker's hours, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, because those issues happen outside those hours.
Now, like, for example, Clay County, for example, and one of the things that we probably will do, and we're in discussions about initiating it now just to get it off the ground and get it going. But for example, one of the things that Clay County does is they have a couple things. One is they don't respond to animal complaints and animal calls, even through their animal services division, unless you're willing to either go to the internet and download an affidavit that you fill out the information and swear to the information and send that in, or that you come by there and fill out an affidavit with your information and what the issues are and the problems are and do that in an affidavit form. That way it keeps people from running all over the country on just a phone call and not really having information and not really knowing what you're looking for.
You have to be serious to be able to file a complaint.
That's it. So we kind of were looking at doing that, about doing an affidavit. But when you talk about after hours and those kind of things, also one of the things that Clay County does is they only come out after hours or holidays or weekends if it's an emergency, right? If you have a dangerous dog, if you have something that's a problem in the neighborhood that needs to be addressed right now, their sheriff's office, along with animal control, responds to those things, takes care of those issues, even after hours and weekends. If it's a situation where my neighbor's dog is running through my yard and doing all these things, and I don't like it, and I want somebody to talk to the neighbor and do something about it, then they don't have after hours people to do those type of things. It waits till 8 o'clock the next morning when somebody comes on duty, and they handle it the next morning. So
the majority of the calls that come in right now, is it just nuisance calls that this dog or cat or whatever animal's bothering me?
What we are getting through the sheriff's office, and I can't speak for the calls that's going out all over the place, but what we receive at the sheriff's office primarily centers around things like nuisance issues.
Destruction of property.
Yeah, destruction of property, barking dogs.
Dug up my garden.
Yeah.
Ate my carrots.
I can't keep my neighbor's dog off my yard. He's on my porch every night eating my cat's feed, or something like that, is the majority of the calls that we answer. Now, as far as dangerous dogs, things that are a public hazard and things that need to be addressed, quite honestly, we probably don't get but just a few of those a year. We don't have very many of those at all. So the majority of what we're getting at this point is the nuisance type things. And
I can see where there's things for you to be able to do when there is a dangerous situations, but as far as nuisance, is there really anything that the sheriff's office can do besides just go talk to the neighbor?
It depends, because there are some things that's covered under general statute, destruction of property and some different things, is covered under general statute. But a lot of the things we can't deal with. And with that being said, before you ask your question, Tyler, with that being said, is those are all things that we had discussion with the county manager and with the commissioners about the ordinances that are on file that are sometimes unenforceable or you can't use because of the way they're written or the language that's involved in them or those type of things. So as we're doing this, it's my suggestion, and I think it's the county manager's suggestion also in the meeting, was we take another look at those ordinances and rewrite and revamp or do away with or create from scratch or whatever we need to do, but have ordinances that can be enforceable that you can use and that you can work. And so I think we're going to try to do all this all at one time. And so we get started off on the right foot. Tyler, do you have a question?
To me, it seems like a lot of those problems could just be solved with, calling your neighbor, saying, "Hey, your dog's getting into my stuff. Could you, pay for my mailbox or whatever?" God forbid a dog, destroy a mailbox. But I'd like to see
It
that.
happens.
I'd like to see that. But you think you'd be called for like bear attacks or
Right.
something like that? But you said that's the minority, or
It is the minority. A lot of the dangerous dog situations that we deal with, those are things that you can't wait on. You have to deal with as they come in.
Right.
If you got a dog in a neighborhood that's being aggressive or it's attacking livestock or biting someone or chasing someone down, you have to deal with those as they happen. And so one of the things that we are trying to work out too, and of course of doing this, is to make sure that we get our deputies that are out here, make sure they get them proper equipment and training to deal with these type of things as they happen also. I think we do a pretty good job at this point on doing the things that we need to do to protect the public. But if you remember, we had an incident, I think it was last fall or summer sometime, where you had the dog in Joe Brown Texaco,
Right.
Murphy Police Department dealt with, and we assisted with them on that. Well, one of the issues with that was none of our law enforcement agencies had proper equipment as far as catch poles, as far as cages, tranquilizers, things that you needed to deal with that situation, with an animal being in a store. And so as we're doing this, I think not only this person that's heading this up needs proper training and equipment and all that, but after hours, for example, those deputies and officers that responded after hours, they need proper training and have access to the same type of equipment.
Right. Is that kind of the things that the Humane Society would have access to that equipment?
Well, it's one of those things right now that is kind of, because everything's spread out so far.
Right.
Be honest with you, I don't know that anybody has access to that kind of equipment right now. If it is, it's spread out so much that nobody knows where to find it. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do about the organization and bringing all these players to the same table and putting everybody on the same page to where we know what resources we have. We know what equipment we have. We know who to contact. We know how to make sure things don't fall through the cracks and that type of thing. So I'm excited about having talks about it, and I'm excited about discussing this. But like I say, we're just trying to figure out what's appropriate for Cherokee County, right? Because 6 officers and $1 million budget works in Macon County doesn't necessarily mean that's what we need for Cherokee County.
Right.
As far as jurisdiction, I know the town of Murphy does have a leash law.
Right.
I'm not sure about Andrews. Does Andrews have a leash law?
I think they do.
Which would the town ordinance supersede whatever which one would be enforced?
That's a legal question that I really don't know. I would assume, and it may be the wrong assumption, but I would assume that probably the county ordinance would override those. But I think that's something that probably the municipalities and the county government needs to get together and have a discussion about. And
so that it all just
flows together, where we don't have contradictory ordinances and things of that nature. So, but we're hoping, like I say, to address this issue completely and all the way through. And that's one of the things I've said from the beginning, as I was elected in 2014 and people started talking about these animal issues. It would be very easy for me to go into investigations or patrol, and Tyler's my deputy, and say, hey, Tyler,
Oh, goodness.
you're my new animal control officer. How about it?
All right, good cop, bad cop. Let's go.
Yeah. You know, it would be very easy for me to do that, just to go in and point somebody's animal control and say, oh, yeah, we have animal control. But we're not fixing anything, and we're not addressing some of the issues and problems that are out there by doing that. So I think if we're going to do this, we need to do it the right way and do it completely from top to bottom, including ordinances and how it's going to run and protocol and procedure and all those kind of things, you know, from top to bottom to where we get started off on the right foot.
Right. And you did bring up a good point about having someone certified or non-certified in this position, because, you know, anytime that you issue a press release and it's just someone who is using marijuana, you know how many emails you get saying, why don't you go arrest somebody who's
some real criminal.
And so if you are tying up deputies to go with just animal nuisances,
right,
you're going to get a flood of those,
right,
especially if you are using certified officers for that. So I can understand the logic there.
Yeah. And like I say, you know, we want these people who are trained and people who are certified and trained into doing major crimes investigations to be out investigating major crimes.
Right.
You know,
and I know you could probably use more help for those.
Right. And it's not the fact of that animal abuse or neglect or those things are not important, because those are law enforcement issues, and many of those things are felony cases that we investigate. But those will be passed over and will be part of major crimes that we would investigate. And again, just to clarify the muddy water just a little bit to make sure that people understand, what we're talking about is using a certified officer to spend multiple calls every day of going out because of a dog barking or because of some nuisance situation. You know, we want to make sure we use our certified people for what they're certified for.
Timeline. What kind of implementation timeline are we looking at as far as getting some kind of animal services?
We're hoping to have something finished, complete, done, and ready to go by the budget year starting in July.
Oh, that'll be here before you know it.
It will be here before you know it.
That's your
favorite time.
Yeah, because workshops will start, county budget workshops will start probably March, April, somewhere along in there. Finalizations will come May, June on those, and then it'll be implemented in July. So theoretically, we could start it before July if the commission board chose to do so. But with this being the time of year that we're creating budgets and doing that process anyway, my best guess would be something we would work on through the spring and will be implemented in our next fiscal year is what my best guess on that.
Do you have any idea what laws are in place as far as getting dogs their yearly shots, tagged? What animal owners right now need to do?
Right now there is already on law, there's general statute that if you have an animal that is running loose, it is supposed to be displaying a rabies tag.
Okay.
If your animal's, and like I say, I'm doing this from memory, so it may not be exactly right, but it's my understanding that if you keep your animal on your own property in your own home, it doesn't necessarily have to have a rabies tag, but if that animal is running at large, it is supposed to have a rabies tag on its collar with its rabies shot date and the shot number and all those kind of things that's on that.
And honestly, even if you don't have your animals running loose, even if you have them, they can still escape. So even having some kind of name tag with a phone number and the name of the dog, because we see so many missing pets on our page.
Right.
And if they just had a name on there, they could just contact the owner directly instead of trying to go through a social media site.
I think there's kind of a misconception, I think, for our area also, is that, you know, we have a lot of people who are new to our area, who come from different places. And a lot of these people come from places where there are leash laws or animals are not allowed to run loose. And so from these places they come from, if they see an animal running loose, it's a stray or it's a homeless animal or if nobody's taking care of it and it needs to be picked up. That's not necessarily true for our area because we do have a lot of pets that run loose, that run free. We don't have a leash law here, so a lot of people let their pets roam. And so what happens a lot of times is people, especially people coming from these areas, will see a dog consistently in their neighborhood or coming through their yard or whatever, and they assume it's a stray or they assume it doesn't have where to go, and so they take it to the Humane Society or take it somewhere else, for housing. And in reality, it's not a stray animal; it's someone's pet.
It's just walking down the road.
Just walking down the road, So
checking the mail.
Right, right. So that's one of the issues that we have in our area about that. So I agree with you 100%. If you're going to have an animal that's run loose, please put your name and phone number on it. You can go down to the trophy store and several places around, probably
I think Logan's Run has
maybe
them
Tractor
there.
Supply, a couple different places that you can actually get the brass fittings that that you can put on collars that'll imprint your name and your phone number in it.
Well, I saw a dog one time and it said, "I'm not lost. I just like to loafer." Right. That's some dogs. That's how they are sometimes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want, and this is the sad situation because some people, their dogs will get old and they'll just dump them on the side of the road,
Right.
Take off their collar and everything.
Right.
If you do want to abandon the dog, please take it to the Humane Society
Right.
so that maybe they can care for it. And do they charge for if you want to?
That's a Humane Society question.
I believe they ask for a donation,
Yeah.
but I think it's not mandatory now. But I could be speaking wrong. But call them and ask them if there's a
Right.
charge before you just leave it to die on the side of the road,
Right. Yeah.
Or make it someone else's problem by putting it in their front yard,
Right.
So
Yeah.
please just take it to the Humane Society and hopefully, because there's a lot of folks up north who do have leash laws, and they have a lack of animals. So what they do if they don't get adopted here, they take them up north to those communities,
Right.
And those are
They find homes there.
They find homes,
Yeah.
So, all right. Shannon Dockery, Great
They
Head
do
says they do ask for donations, I do believe. All right.
Okay.
Well, anything I just see that we've run 5 minutes over already.
Already.
We've only hit one subject.
Well, that's all right.
All right.
We'll say something else for next week.
We'll
Pastor
say-
Brown's going to come in here and slap us if we're late.
That's right. He's just so mean, right?
Yeah, he is. He is.
And so intolerant. No,
Right.
Pastor Rod's a great guy.
Especially on Fridays. He's very
Yes.
tolerant of our long-windedness on Fridays.
He goes home and prays for us not to talk so much.
Meanwhile, we go home and pray for him not to sing anymore. I love you, Odd.
Oh, he's great. He was telling me one time before, he has a good sense of humor. He says, a lady told me one time before her favorite part of my show was singing, especially when it was over with.
Right.
So I love Pastor Rod. He's a great guy.
I don't remember who it was the other day. They said, Tyler, I swore I could have heard you talking on the radio. I said, well, all that played that day was Odd Brown's sermon. I think it was Donna Lynn on the air that day, and they're like, oh.
When I was pastoring, I had a lady tell me at service one day that her favorite part of the service was the prayer at the end. I didn't know quite how to take that.
There was a funny one more thing, just in remembrance of my papa who passed away in November. He used to, up at Boiling Springs, he would, whenever Pastor Dockery would get winded and keep talking, he would take his change in his pocket. He always carried a pocket full of change. He'd start jingling in his pocket, trying to get his attention.
Right.
And the Grand would be in the back pew just,
Yeah.
you say, it's about time for lunch.
That's happened a lot of times.
I understand. All right, Sheriff, have a great weekend.
Thank y'all.
We'll see you again real soon. Folks, you're tuned to WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide, we're at country.am. Tim Radford here, along with Tyler Anderson on camera, and Sheriff Derek Palmer in the, what color shirt is that?
It's purple, I guess.
Purplish?
Maroony
shirt.
purple.
Yeah.
Maroony.
Plum. I like that.
Plum purple.
Plum purple.
It's plum pretty.
There you go.
Here with Plum Purple Palmer.
That's right. All right. Goodbye, folks. Stay tuned. We will have Pastor Odd Brown coming up in just moments right here on W.